Since Heisei Godzilla fired his atomic breath at the Muto nest, that practically changed everything. Because in the canon series of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, Kate, May, and Kentaro were managed to find out that Kate's father is in Africa, which would basically have them to go there. But since Heisei Godzilla took legendary Godzilla's place, Heisei Godzilla fired his atomic breath at the Muto nest, causing it to explode and destroy the majority of San Francisco. Not even the building that had Kate's father's research about the next possible kaiju events, or awakening, or potential kaiju sightings, or whatever, that would basically be destroyed. It would not be standing, and it will be all thanks to Heisei Godzilla. Meaning that Kate and Kentaro will never find out that their dad is indeed alive. And unlike legendary Godzilla, I highly doubt Heisei Godzilla will be quiet through the majority of the series. I think we'll get some news reports of Heisei Godzilla attacking cities all over the world, and possibly Kate might have more of a deeper hatred for Heisei Godzilla. Because if we look back at it, she did not like Godzilla in Monarch Legacy of Monsters. She flat out hated Godzilla for what he did. Godzilla killed a bus full of kids. I think Kate would have more of a bigger reason to hate Heisei Godzilla than she hated legendary Godzilla. Not only did Heisei Godzilla destroy the bridge so quickly, but he destroyed it and killed way more civilians and kids than legendary Godzilla did. Not only that, but the fact that he destroyed San Francisco by firing his atomic breath at the nuke, causing it to explode and destroy the majority of San Francisco, her home, basically, that would give a more of a bigger reason to hate Heisei Godzilla. If anything, if monsterverse Godzilla was still in his own universe, I'm pretty sure she would want monsterverse Godzilla to kill Heisei Godzilla. I think she'll rather take her chances with monsterverse Godzilla than Heisei Godzilla. Anyways, the good majority of the running of Monarch Legacy of Monsters would be unchanged except for episode 6 of Legacy of Monsters. Instead of Godzilla waking up in a mountain, let's just say that Kate, May, and Kentaro and Lee Shaw do somehow made their way to Africa, but they do not end up at the same place where legendary Godzilla woke up at. Instead, they'll possibly be at a different location, where they encountered Godzilla battling 3 new kaiju. And eventually, these 3 new kaiju eventually submit to Godzilla as the alpha. In return, Godzilla just kind of leaves them alone. And then makes his way towards a nearby city and starts destroying it. Seeing the death and destruction causes Kate to have another panic attack or PTSD or whatever. Anyways, but in episode 10, this is where things might get a little interesting. Heisei Godzilla would probably be lured by the little thing that Keiko has been using to send out a signal to Monarch, but Monarch being the assholes they were in the series, they just ignored it and act like it didn't exist at all. However, Heisei Godzilla would still probably be, well, not still. Heisei Godzilla would probably be lured by it, and he would probably fight the Iron Dragon, except he would kill the Iron Dragon way quicker than Legendary Godzilla did. He would not show mercy, because Heisei Godzilla would probably just tear that Iron Dragon to shreds. Instead of just tossing it into the portal, Heisei Godzilla would rip it to shreds, giving Lee Shaw enough time to get inside the pod or whatever, so he, May, Keiko, and Kate can leave the Hollow Earth together when Heisei Goji goes through the portal. Now for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now this is where things are going to get really interesting. So, prepare yourselves. For Godzilla, King of the Monsters, at this point, the world is in panic because of all the recent attacks that Heisei Godzilla has been causing over the past few years. At this point, Heisei Godzilla is the most aggressive kaiju that Monarch has to deal with. At this point, they've tried everything. The military is trying everything they can to try to kill Heisei Godzilla. But Heisei Godzilla proves to be immune to a lot of the weapons that would normally hurt Legendary Godzilla. Heisei Godzilla is just shaking these attacks off like they were nothing. Monarch tried to build an outpost near Godzilla's temporary territory. When I say temporary, I mean that Godzilla's just trying to find a good territory to call, a good area to call home. He's just trying to find a territory, and he finds a temporary territory. However, Monarch wanting to build an outpost literally inside of Godzilla's territory, he's not having it. He would attack the base so many times to the point where Monarch has gotten tired of it and decided to build an outpost outside of Godzilla's territory, where they can at least keep an eye on him but at a safe distance. Heisei Godzilla probably wouldn't mind that, as long as they are not inside of his territory. Well, at the very least, his temporary territory. Now, the question will remain is, would Heisei Godzilla would be drawn towards Ghidorah? The answer is yes, because Ghidorah is a threat, and, well, since Godzilla is the protector of Earth, not humanity, but the protector of Earth, he will not tolerate any three-headed golden dragon to try to mess up the planet while he's currently in war with the human race. So Monarch would try to follow Godzilla, but once again, they'll be trying to keep at a safe distance. The Antarctica fight scene between Heisei Godzilla and Legendary Ghidorah would be very different. And here's why. Legendary Ghidorah does have experience on battling a Godzilla. Heisei, on the other hand, does not have such experience. However, Heisei wouldn't need experience. he would put up a really good fight so far with his first encounter with legendary Ghidorah. Legendary Ghidorah would actually struggle a little bit while fighting Heisei Godzilla, but eventually he would gain the upper hand and eventually retreat. Heisei Goji will be right after their legendary Ghidorah. However, once when Emma Russell wakes up Rodan, that is when things change. Godzilla will no longer be after Ghidorah. Knowing that Ghidorah will most likely be after any kaiju and get them to submit to him, Heisei Godzilla decides to turn around and go after Rodan. Now, who would get there first? Ghidorah or Godzilla? Not Rodan. The answer would be Godzilla. Godzilla would be the one to get to Rodan first. Monarch would watch as Godzilla and Rodan battle each other. Eventually, Godzilla would gain the upper hand and eventually beat Rodan. Rodan would submit to Godzilla as his alpha. And eventually, Heisei Goji would head towards Ghidorah. And eventually, Godzilla and Ghidorah would begin their second battle. Rodan would normally just wait until Godzilla needed help. When Godzilla needed help, Rodan would swoop in and help out his king. Now, would Rodan warn Godzilla about the Ocean Destroyer? Well, that depends if Godzilla is battling Ghidorah on land or in the ocean. If Godzilla is battling Ghidorah on land, then he would not need to worry about the Ocean Destroyer. But if he is in the water, then he'll have to worry about the Ocean Destroyer hitting him. Rodan would probably warn Godzilla to get out of the water quickly. But let's just say for the sake of this scenario, Godzilla and Ghidorah are battling on land, which means the military will not send the Ocean Destroyer. They'll have to wait for Godzilla to bring Ghidorah into the water so they can try to kill them both. Eventually, Ghidorah gives Godzilla the slip and Ghidorah gets away, with Rodan and Godzilla falling right behind him.